Okay, sorry about that, you guys. The power in my house surged and I lost my internet connection. So we are back at it again. I've got to share this link really quick and hopefully things work out. I'm pretty annoyed that I had a power surge, but as soon as we get back to going, we will get everything set back up and we'll talk photography and we'll talk about photography, cleaning cameras, all that fun stuff. If you guys have any questions about photography or you just want to talk about photography, anything like that, feel free to comment. Let me know what you think of what we're doing here, what our future holds. Just quick shares. All right, so we're back to it. Okay, so as I was saying before the power so rudely interrupted me, is I don't use the air canisters to clean my cameras. And the reason for that is there's moisture in them, and you don't want moisture in your camera. You'll get fungus, things like that. I use one of these. These are dirt cheap. You can get them in kits all over the place. When I'm cleaning my lenses, I prefer lens papers. They're super cheap, and the whole lint-free microfiber cloth is a lie. It is an absolute lie. You will always have lint. They're always an issue, and it's always a problem. Now, in the last little live stream before the internet again so rudely cut me off, we talked about the cameras we're going to be cleaning today. So let's go over that again real quick, you guys. We are cleaning a Nikon Rebel XT EOS. This is a really old Canon. Sorry, you're going to learn how much I cut out of my videos. But this is a really old Canon. It's a remarkable little camera. I played with it a little bit. We discussed in the last video I published that we have a shoot coming up this Friday with this one. We're going to do a video on that. We're also cleaning its competitor, the Nikon D50. Both of these kit lenses, the 18 to 55s, will clean today too. And then we are cleaning my workhorse camera, the Nikon D50-300. Again, we did a video on this one, and you guys really actually seem to really like the older consumer grade DSLR videos. So I'm going to continue making those and get my hands on more of those. And we'll also be cleaning this 10 to 20 millimeter Sigma lens, which I primarily use for real estate. I also have this 35 millimeter Nikkor f1.8 that we'll be cleaning. I don't like this lens. It might be because I haven't used it enough. I don't personally like this lens at all. And the Yongnuo 50 millimeter 1.8 will be cleaning this one up as well. This is a workhorse of mine. I use it for portraits, headshots, pretty much most all of my work with people. I use this lens or the Sigma 10 to 20 millimeter, though primarily that one's used for real estate and shooting my YouTube videos. So let's get started on this, you guys. We're going to start with the Canon. The Canon has a little bit of fungus on the lens, it looks like. We're going to try to clean that up with one of these lens cloths. Then we're going to kind of take the lens off. We'll clean the mirror. We'll get this thing all cleaned up and ready for our shoot on Friday, which we're doing a video on too. So expect this week's video to come out Saturday or Sunday instead of Friday. No, actually, the 35 millimeter lens that I have is an f1.8. And I think the issue of why I don't like it is because I just haven't used a 35 millimeter lens very much. So I'm still trying to figure out the 35 millimeter lens and trying to really learn where its sharpness is at and where I can get good photos with it. So it's more, I don't like it because it's not sharp enough for me, but again, it's probably just because I don't have a lot of experience with that lens right currently. Here. Just checking another message I had gotten. So yeah, so let's get started with this lens. If you guys have any other photography questions, feel free to ask them. Some of the other projects that we coming up, it seems like a lot of people were interested in my Franken camera, the 4x5 camera with the DSLR attachment on the back. Actually, that wasn't fungus. That was just dust. There's a little bit of fungus on the corners, but I'm not going to take the lens apart. It's not my lens to take apart. This is actually Nick Dudelka's camera. He let me borrow it a while ago, and I've been not very good about it. Yeah, see, and I've heard that about the 35 millimeter f1.8s. I have, and I don't know why I've been so disappointed with it, Dwayne. But is there What f-stop is it really sharp at for you? And are you shooting it with a crop frame? Because I'm wondering if, like my Yongno f1.8 is relatively sharp, but the Nikkor doesn't seem to be as sharp at that 1.8, but it gets a little better at like 2.4. Maybe I just need to go shoot with it more. Maybe I'm just not using it correct. That's totally a possibility. Again, I don't have a lot of experience with 35 millimeter lens, so totally might just be my fault. And I haven't been using it because I don't like it, and I don't like it because I don't use it enough. As totally a possibility. Oh yeah, this lens has cleaned up very, very nicely. And again, these don't leave lint. It's very, very nice. I use them to clean my glasses, telescope lenses. I use it for everything. Um, Almost got it all. Yeah, Nick, I think you're right. There is some fungus on the inside, but really, it's not as bad as I think you initially thought. Because I have a lot of this cleaned off. We need to get a lens cap for this. I always feel bad when I look at it, and I'm like, I want a lens cap on this. Then again, it's a kit lens, so I don't know how much it actually matters to anyone. Oh yes, and what I have played with this camera, the little bit, is actually super user friendly. Like I said, Canon always makes simpler to use cameras. Really, what kind of camera lens did you find for this, Nick? I'm curious because I do like kit lenses because everyone bashes kit lenses. And granted, your photos are your glass makes all the difference with your photos, and that's the absolute truth. Your glass makes all the difference in photography. But you can take good photos with a kit lens. If you're just getting started out and all you have is a kit lens, like don't feel bad. Don't feel like you got to go spend a ton of money. Look how much cleaner this lens is, though. Got most of that cleaned off, and you know what? It looks like the fungus that's in there isn't in the way of the actual lens. It looks like it's just on the edges, so it might create some cool artsy fartsy shots. We all know how much I love artsy fartsy shots, but back here is kind of dirty. Get some of that loose dust. It might be also from all the ash because we've had those major wildfires here for so long, but that the wildfires are starting to dissipate. It's not as smoky as it used to be. Full frame of a. I should do a disposable camera. I have a disposable camera. It's expired, but that would be really. I bet you I could take good shots. At least street photos with a disposable camera. I don't know if you can get Kodak ones anymore, but I know you can still get Fujifilm ones. Though I don't think my grandpa would be too happy about me reviewing Fujifilm anything. He worked at Kodak for years and years and years and years and years. I need to try out that lens. Do you have that lens still, Nick? Because I'm curious at how that'll look out. Find a Kodak. I mean, they're on Amazon. They're just expensive. I don't know why Kodak has to be so expensive. That's why Kodak isn't really around anymore. That's the god honest truth. Actually, Kodak's not around any as much anymore because they had digital technology in the 70s. This isn't well known, and they wouldn't develop it further because they were afraid that it would cut into their film business because most of their money was done on film developers and all that stuff. And they let the patent expire, and then other companies were able to start producing digital cameras, and then Kodak got left behind. Oh yeah, that actually looks pretty clear and pretty nice. We don't have a lens cap for this, so I need to find that's safe enough, right? That's safe enough. So we're gonna clean this out. There's a little bit of dust in there. This is an older camera. I think Nick told me he picked this up for really, really cheap. For the DX camera normally. Okay, yeah, that makes sense that f2 or f4 would be sharper than the 1.8. I will take that 35 millimeter out on Friday for one of the two shoots I'm doing, and we will see. Yeah, $15. That's pretty cheap. Pretty cheap. They're all over Facebook Marketplace right now, and I will shoot that 35 millimeter at f2 and f4, and I'll give it a test. I'll give it another chance. Before I list it for sale or give it away, I will give the 35 millimeter another chance. I really want to like it. I do, especially because I'm using crop frame sensors, because 35 millimeter is more like a 50 millimeter in a crop frame sense, in a crop frame camera. Again, you guys are seeing how much that I actually cut out of my videos, especially when I'm this excited. I just got out of class, so I'm really, really in a good mood because I love school so much. That's not sarcastic. I actually legitimately do. But what I was getting at is with a crop frame, the 50 millimeter shoots like an 85 millimeter, the 35 millimeter shoots like a 50 millimeter. Maybe a 50 millimeter on a full frame I wouldn't like. Who knows? We're gonna have to try all this out and go on this adventure together because the fact is it has been an adventure. We've been doing this for a little over a year now. You guys have some of you have been around since the very beginning. Terry, right there, my aunt, she has watched every single one of my videos and commented on almost every single one of the videos so far. So it's really exciting to have that. And she's critiqued the new intro. I don't know if you guys have seen the last two videos, but I have a new intro, which is fantastic. It was a lot more work than I was hoping it would be, but I think it's better than the last intro where it was just like the full frame camera and the beep and then the logo. Speaking of which, merch, get your merch, you guys. Don't forget about the merch. The merch is going to pay for more of those DSLR cameras that we're going to be picking up, the older ones, in order for us to continue reviewing them. And they're all over eBay really cheap right now. Every time Nikon or Canon or any of those companies like release a new camera, like when the D850 came out, the D800s became dirt cheap for the body. I mean, relatively dirt cheap for the bodies compared to what, the 850 cost. And it seems like the DSLR, you can get older and older ones for cheaper and cheaper. Like this one, again, Nick said it was $15, which is ridiculously cheap. Actually, this camera cleaned up pretty nicely for being only $15. And actually, the shitty friend that I am, I actually lost the charger for this and had to order another one, which is actually the reason why we haven't done a video for it, because I don't know what happened to it. Like, I lost a Nikon charger too, like at the same time. They were both in my camera bag, went on vacation, got back, and guess what? They were gone. Probably left them at the Airbnb up in Winter Park. I'm responding some messages really quick. Oh yeah, so Nick Dudelko actually sent me a picture of that 35 to 70 lens. I'm actually kind of excited. I would like to check that out much, much more. So Nick, I might have to get that from you for another video because I think that would be fun. So let's jump into the D50. I actually haven't tore into this one quite as much. And Dwayne in the comment section actually sent me this camera, which is absolutely fantastic. I've wanted to get my hands on some of these older consumer model ones, the D50, the D40, a D80 is on my list of cameras to nab because I want to get in and review them because they're still cheap and they still take good pictures. I see so many people. I think it's Kit Lens from one of the film Rebels from like 2004. Still has autofocus. Cool. So that one that Nick Dudelko has still has autofocus. We just used that one. It's got another one. I don't want to scratch my lenses. Yeah. So the early consumer cameras, the D40, the D50, the D80, the D70s, as we did a video on, the 70S, D90, those are all really, really cheap still all over eBay. You can pick them up for like hardly any money at all. It's really nice. And I need to get some more of them to review. I do have some people willing to borrow me some. That'll be exciting because then I don't have to purchase it and like continue to build like my. I like collecting cameras. That's the truth of it. But I would rather not have a million cameras because there's only so many cameras I can shoot. And I'm pretty partial to the ones that I have right now. I will collect more and I will get more and we will do more videos on them. Yeah, you can tell how much I've used this kit lens because it didn't really need to be cleaned. Because the fact is, I don't really use this kit lens all that much. You can take good photos with a kit lens, though. I don't care what anyone says. I've seen it done. I've done it before, and we will do a video on it. And then we'll do a kit lens head-to-head with the Nikon kit lens versus the Canon kit lens. Though with the fungus and the Canon one, it might not be completely fair, but I think it'll be a good video still. I'm going to use the 810 with a new unused battery, friend. Oh, see, there you go. The D810 picked one up for 500. See, that's a really good price on a full frame camera, especially the 810. The 810 was a really, really good little camera. I think it was, I want to say it was the 610s or the 650s. Maybe it was the 710. They had problem focusing in like the right-hand corner. I know a lot more about Nikons than I do Canons. But Really what it comes down to is you can pick up these camera bodies for really cheap compared to what you used to be able to pick them up for, because again, every year they're obsolete. It's just like cell phones or computers or any other bit of technology, though film cameras are going up in price. Film cameras are definitely going up in price. A little saddening because I wanted to get more medium format cameras, but they're going up in price because film is getting more popular apparently. Large format cameras, it's still hit or miss. You can get press cameras for really cheap if they're not like the Graflex. Like the Graflex cameras are just super expensive, no matter what, to get a working one. One of the photographers I know, James in Denver, he picked up a Graflex press camera, like a whole like it's a sweet little camera. It's even got the 120 back for it, and it wasn't too expensive. But that was at the beginning of the outbreak, and kind of the prices on everything went down for a little while the outbreak was going on. But now that the economy is starting to kind of pick up and people are kind of going back to work, people aren't selling their cameras as readily as they were at the beginning. I picked up what did I pick up at that time? I picked up a film cat, 35 millimeter of some sort, probably a Nikon. I think it's in like an N80 or something. I picked up a Nikon N80 for dirt cheap. I think it was like $30 on Facebook Marketplace. Now I have two of them because I got another one from my grandpa. I know you are, and thank you for the support. Camera talk, like it's talking about cameras is like a foreign language. It's absolutely, Dwayne, this camera is really clean. Like I know I just dusted off the mirror, but I really probably didn't have to. There's not much dust on this. I thought I don't know what I thought. It's a super clean camera, and I want to thank you again for sending it my way. This one is going to have a lot of videos done on it, as well as the D70, because the fact is with the 5100 and the 5300, when we did those videos, we did a review, we did a manual mode usage. With the 5100, we did an outdoor shoot with it too. So I want to do an outdoor shoot kind of video with the 5300, and then I want to get both those cameras in the studio and do a studio shoot, and then probably do a real estate or a car shoot with them. Each one will be at different videos. Yeah, see, he cleaned the sensor not that long ago. Plus, I don't know if this one has, but the 5300 has an auto sensor cleaning, which is really neato. But I want to do the same thing with the D50. We're going to do a review on this. We're going to do a manual mode review, a manual mode walkthrough. We're going to do an outdoor shoot, probably a real estate shoot of some sort, and a studio shoot with it. I would like to get the 5300, do an outdoor shoot, kind of same thing, and then the same with the D70 and then the D70S. But my D70S will be a little harder because the D70S is actually a converted camera. It's been converted to full spectrum. So basically what that means, if you guys are interested in doing me doing a video on full spectrum and infrared photography, let me know. But basically, behind this mirror, this is why they call it a single lens mirror reflex, SLR, single lens reflex. There's a mirror, and then there's a prism up here, and that's how you get the image in the back. But behind this mirror is a sensor, and over that sensor is a filter. It's a polarized filter or UV or an infrared filter to make sure that those lighting conditions aren't ruining your photos. My D70S had that removed. And what that does is it will pick up a full spectrum of light. So if I want to shoot infrared, I can throw an infrared filter on it. The ones I use is a 750 and a 700 nanometer, I think. It's called 750 NM filter, and it only allows the frequency of light above 700 nm or 750 nm through it. So you get like these really crazy ghostly images. If you check out my first gallery video, I show some of the photos taken with that, and it's like the greens show up as white, and everything's long exposure, so everything's kind of wavy and movie, and it's kind of got a really ghostly, dreamlike vibe. So if you guys are interested in infrared video, let me know. I'll shoot an infrared video. I love shooting infrared photography, even though I don't do a lot of landscape anymore. That camera is good to go. And now to my workhorse, my Nikon D5300. I was shooting a video earlier today. We don't know if it's going to be used or not, so the microphone is still attached. And this is just a cheap dead cat. It actually does really good audio. So if you're into making videos or YouTube videos, anything like that, I really highly recommend a DSLR. You don't get as much shoot time as you would with a camcorder, And the reason for that is taxes. For reals, that's what it is. Is they have a certain amount of software in there that distinguishes a video camera from a photo camera, so you can't take too much video, or they have to pay an extra tax, and it's absolutely ridiculous. Whatever. That's beside the point. DSLR, the D5300 is great for video and great for that. And I know Nick is probably going to chime in here in a second about the power of mirrorless, or my aunt might, because my uncle loves mirrorless. I don't like mirrorless. I know the video says Sony makes the best mirrorless. I believe that Sony makes the best mirrorless. I don't. Okay, I say I don't like mirrorless, but I haven't really shot with a mirrorless. I've played with Nick's a little bit, and it's amazing. That Sony is so cool. I will probably buy a mirrorless camera just because Nick's right. It is the future. Mirrorless is the future. If we look back at rangefinder cameras, rangefinder camera, because I don't know why I don't have a rangefinder camera. I used to have a rangefinder camera. Anyways, rangefinder cameras have a really complicated system for setting up your shot and make sure it's focused. It's like a periscope. But there's less moving parts, and oh my god, the images are so sharp because there's less moving images, less moving parts. You don't have to worry about the mirror flipping up and all that stuff. But you couldn't shoot quite as I keep shooting. I don't want a Z6. I don't like the Z6. I don't like the fact that the lenses are so expensive for the Z6. Nikon, I don't think Nikon's ever going to sponsor me, so I'm not too concerned about that. Nikon will never sponsor me. But you told, in our little video, I did an interview with Nick Dudelko. We talked about how Sony had the best mirrorless and why. And he's right. I looked at the aftermarket lenses. They're so cheap. Sony lenses are so cheap compared to the Nikon and Canon ones. I don't care how user-friendly Canon is. I will stick to Canon DSLRs. Look how wide that is. Like, really look at, I don't know. I did. In the video where I reviewed this lens, I showed you the absolute madness of the scale of this lens and like how wide it truly is. And I absolutely love this lens. I shoot so much, pretty much all of my video with it, unless I'm using a GoPro. But again, a GoPro is a wide angle too. It's like 110-degree width or something like that. But man, it's autofocus. This lens is like $300 on Amazon. I have made the money back plus some with this lens just doing real estate photography, because I can go into a tiny little bathroom and get the entire bathroom. Sorry, plant. Get the entire bathroom with this lens, because at 10 millimeter, even with a crop sensor, you're talking 15 millimeter. Perfect lens for real estate. Automotive photography too. This is great. Okay. I think the best buyers would be found through garage sales, family members, thrift stores, auctions, but eBay prices are. You're right, Dwayne. I do agree, and I am picking up some DSLRs. 3100, Nikon D3100, and a Canon Rebel 5. I think it's a 5 or maybe a 3. I don't know. It's my fiance's little sister's. She's going to give it to me, but you're right. It is cheaper to get them through family, estate sales, thrift stores, things like that. And me and Dwayne actually had a conversation. He picked up some really cool 35 millimeters for not very expensive. Nikon and Canon are probably 3 to 4 years from having the lens like Sony does for mirrorless. Unfortunately, Canon did a better job with the first runs of. Okay, you're right. Canon probably did do a better job, but I mean, I like Canon. I would own more Canon. I need to own more Canons. Absolutely need to own more Canons. But for automotive photography, because the lens is so wide, you get some distortion in the body line, so it's not great for taking outside photos of the car. But if you're shooting interiors, especially when I did some for the dealership, this thing is absolutely a beast for doing interiors, and it is a fast enough lens. Okay, that's light reflecting through. I thought I had a scratch on the inside of my lens. I was going to freak out a little bit. But when you're shooting interiors, the ones I did for the dealership, this thing is masterful for that. And then I used the 50 millimeter, and I just stood back from the car in order to get the interior or the exterior shot, so the body lines weren't distorted by how wide the lens is. But I think that, Nick is right. The future is there's wide angle with no source. I don't know the answer to that, Nick. Let's Google that real quick. Nick asked, are there any 0D lenses for the Nikon? I don't know, because I don't know. Let me check real quick. Nikon D0D lenses. Nikon 0D lenses. So my question is, what do you guys think about lens babies? I am thinking about getting a lens baby, and I want to know what you think. It looks like, Nick, it looks like there's some 0D for the Nikon. Oh, F's. Oh, it'll F mount. That means I can get those for my DSLRs. Back to my point. So, back to what I wanted to ask though. What do you guys think about the lens baby lenses? And I know that the people are super opinionated on this because lens babies lens babies are cool. I think lens babies are cool. I don't care what it is because I like tilt and shift. So if you watched my Let's Shoot Tin Types Together video, the large format, I walked you through how to shoot with a large format camera, and we talked about how the front you could tilt it up and down, or you can move it back and forth, and it distorts your image, or it helps you put things in focus that normally wouldn't be in focus, and things like that. A lens baby is the DSLR equivalent to that. It's a lens that goes on the front, and you can tilt it up, you can tilt it down, you can do some shift with it, and it basically helps you get really artistic shots. Now, I talked to a photographer probably last week. You've probably actually seen him comment on some of my videos. His name is Chuck. And he has a lens baby that he doesn't use because he doesn't like them, but he has it just in case because he always gets it. He said that he's bought one, then he sold it because he didn't like it, and then he bought it again because he thought he would use it. And it's like this back and forth thing. So he's just holding on to it in case he ever decides to use it. What are your guys' opinions on the lens babies? If you have an opinion on the lens baby, and also, what are your opinions for some future videos? Like, I know I've been talking about videos I'm going to do. What videos do you guys want to see? As photographers, what do you guys want to see? What would you like to see more of on YouTube? Like, are you guys liking the, consumer used DSLR reviews? It seems those videos do pretty good, but most of those videos are from non-subscribers, and I want my subscribers to, get videos that they want to see too. So what kind of videos do you guys want to see? This mirror was so dirty. This mirror was literally dirtier than the Canon and the D50's mirrors combined. That's that's how slacktashes I've been. I don't think I've actually cleaned this. I don't think I've actually cleaned this camera since I received it in the mail like 3 years ago. I'm so terrible about this. I've been cleaning the D5100 because, as you guys remember from my D5100 review, that camera is starting to slow down, so I really try to keep it as clean as possible and not give it any more difficulty working than it already has because it's really on its last leg. And for those of you who aren't familiar with this camera, dude, check this out. The 5100 does this too, but the screen isn't as big, and it's nice because like when I'm shooting my videos, I just flip this around, and I hope the microphone cord. I hate these neck straps. So then I can watch myself. So if you ever see me in my videos go like this, I'm checking the time on here because you only get 10 minutes of video time with this camera, and I'm always checking the time over here. I'm like, do I have enough time? Because I went on a 20-minute rant once, and 15 minutes of that video wasn't recorded. Like literally, I went on a 20-minute rant about gatekeeping. I think I was talking about gatekeepers in the photography industry, and we haven't really gone into that because I decided not to publish the video. But yeah, I have a 20-minute rant about gatekeepers. I was really passionate and really mad, and there was lots of me almost swearing, but not quite swearing, and I had to cut it all out. I literally had to cut it all out. Well, I didn't have to cut it out. I didn't record because I wasn't checking. So if you ever see me in my videos, I'm like, it's literally, or even my eyes shift like that, is me checking the time to make sure I still have time to move on to the next point. Little fun behind the scenes thing with me. I'm gonna clean this. And then what I don't like about this screen is when I'm coming up to shoot, like look, my nose touches the screen, like when I'm in here like trying to get my glasses. Yeah, so I've got nose prints all over the back of that. I try to keep it wiped down when I'm at a shoot because I don't want to be like, hey, look at this. And then the model's like, what's that print on there? It's a nose print because my nose touches it because I have a large nose apparently. Yeah, let's see. So yeah. So I do have more interviews planned because of the pandemic. It's hard to get some photographers that want to do the interviews and work, show up in a place with, two other people to do the shoot and the interview. So it's I should have started that series a while ago. I just wasn't confident enough in my abilities. And I'm trying to work with photographers that I know or that I already have vetted. And a lot of those photographers that I know or have been vetted, they don't want to meet just yet. They don't want to be in a group. They don't, and that's totally understandable. I totally understand where they're coming from with that. I don't blame them for wanting to be safe, as we all need to be safe. It's like when I did my niece's or my cousin's photos for my aunt, her ballerina photos. Again, you guys haven't seen them because I don't publish client work. Um, I wore a mask the whole time in the studio, even though it, was my aunt and my cousin there. And those photos actually came out really amazing. I was really happy with how those came out. And I do plan on doing more of those shoots. Again, I don't publish client work, so you guys didn't get to see them. I'm sorry. But I have been busy. I have been doing lots of shoots. I did a wedding. I've done a bunch of engagement photos. And, not all that stuff is, featured in my videos or featured on my social media because my policy on it is if someone's paying me to do a photo shoot for them, I don't really use it in my portfolio. And that's because it's just part of the way I do things personally. I try to keep the things I use in my portfolio as photos that I took for my portfolio or photos that I wanted to share on my portfolio specifically for that or specifically for that shoot or that shooting style. So I always set up different shoots for the different cameras we use. And a lot of the times you guys will, I don't know, you probably have noticed this. I have a set of certain models that I work with pretty regularly. And I have a long-standing relationship as a photographer for these models. So they're comfortable enough for me using the videos for YouTube or me using the photos for my portfolio on YouTube. And as much as I would like to work with, oh, that's nice to know. Tell them I'm available for more shoots. I have the studio still, and the studio is open, and I'll wear a mask. But so not all models are comfortable with me shooting video or using the video for YouTube publicly like that. Yes, Dwayne, that's a good idea. I actually, as soon as I start getting back in the studio more often, my plan is to live stream like we are now, but I'm actually going to live stream the shoot. And I will be wearing that microphone, the Fine Fine that I did a review on. I can't link it up there, but the Fine Fine video that I did a review on, I will have that on so you can hear the directions that I'm giving the model or hear the directions that I'm giving my assistant or anything like that. That way, you guys get like an actual live stream feel to shoot a raw behind the scenes. I won't be editing it, so I got to watch what I say because when I'm in the studio, I swear a lot. I swear a lot in real life. You guys don't see that because I edited it out, and I'm doing a really good job so far of not swearing all the time. But I swear a lot in real life. Like I swear like a sailor. It's just from being a technician for so long, I didn't really deal with customers, so I just didn't need a filter, so I never filtered. So because of that, I'll have to watch what I'm saying in the studio. This one had a lot of gunk on it. Water droplets from one of my last shoots. It was raining. But anyways, so I will be live streaming in the field. I will probably do more videos from the field with the GoPros. We did the Nick Dudelco collaboration shoot where we went and did street photography with the D5100, I think it was. And then my F8 and B there video where we did F8 and B there in Steamboat Springs. And then my Jolly Look street photography video that we also did in Steamboat Springs. I think I shot both those in January because it was right before the world locked down. So it was January or February because the week we got back is the week everything shut down. What were we talking about? I don't remember what we were talking about before I went on that little oh, yes. So because there's only a certain number of models that are really comfortable because I've worked with them enough for me to use the video and all that stuff. You're going to see the same models in a lot of my videos moving forward. And as I build better relationships with other models nearby and other models in the area, we'll see more faces added. But again, I'm a small YouTuber, and a lot of people are still getting behind the concept. I've actually been thrown out of a couple of YouTube of local photography groups because, well, I didn't get thrown out. They deleted my post for posting my link there, and they just said no links to videos, which is cool. I respect that. I totally respect that. This lens is pretty bad. I need to do a much better job, you guys. There's a little bit of water in there. Hopefully it's okay. I'm sure it's okay. Just a little bit of moisture from the air because we had that huge snowstorm. So one thing I didn't discuss in an earlier video where we talked about taking photos of snowflakes. I think that was before we moved. So it had to have been January. Um, what I didn't really discuss with you guys is how to bring your camera inside when it's really cold out. Because if you notice, like with glasses, when you go outside and come back in, they fog up, and that fog is moisture. So what I do is when I'm still outside, I wrap them in plastic bags and I put them in my camera bag and I bring them in, and that way they can warm up slowly. And I totally meant to do a video or an announcement so that you guys knew that, because not everyone does know that, and I've seen cameras get ruined that way. So my apologies, but there's that little PSA. I just remembered that because I had to do that with this lens, and then I realized this lens wasn't wrapped in plastic well enough, so I actually had to unwrap it and hurry up and like de-ice it or defog it and everything so that I didn't ruin it. And so far, this lens, I talk a lot about this lens. This lens is $80. It's $80 for the Yongno, and it's even cheaper for Canon. I do plan when I get that Canon from my sister-in-law, I will be buying one of these for the Canon, but it is a $80 lens that takes amazingly sharp photos. It's sheet plastic. I've done 2 videos on this lens. I did one last year. It was my second video I ever did. It was a review on this. And then I did a 2020 update for my 1-year anniversary. Get you one of these. This is not sponsored. I really love this lens. So now for the lens I don't like. I don't know why I don't like. I'm telling you, it's because I just don't use it. But look how clean it is. Because I don't use it. I should use it. I need to get better about using it and learning the lens, but I don't really use it all that often. Let's see here. This is actually my first live stream. I'm really happy that I've had 5 to 6 people. I had 7 at one point, just like chug along and watching and commenting, and it's been a lot of fun. It's kind of interesting. I might have to make this a weekly thing, or maybe that'll make me clean my gear more. Is if I do a a live stream once a week. We're gonna clean cameras and talk about photography. The live stream. I mean, I know it's not like video games or anything. Everyone's live streaming video games, but I don't really have time for video games much anymore. Just I don't, with school and work and taking care of the household as much as I can and my half of the chores. Um, is what strictly manual? The 35 millimeter or the camera? Yep. Let's see. Nick used to be huge into gaming too. I used to be big into gaming. The newest game that I have played is Borderlands 2. Like that's how long it's been since I was big into gaming. Like I'll play a little bit of Minecraft every now and then because I'm lame. But it's casual. Like I'm not on a server or anything. I play casually and just kind of build my world and all that stuff. Dwayne, if you're asking about the 35 millimeter being manual, this one actually is not. This one has the full auto focus and all of that stuff. Are you talking about the Yongno? Because the Yongno is autofocus as well. Like, yeah, you're getting a built-in autofocus at f1.8 for $80 for Nikon. And I know you use Nikon, so it's relevant to that. They're on Amazon. They also make an 85 millimeter 1.8, which I will be purchasing soon. And we'll do a whole bunch of videos on that. If it's anywhere near the quality and awesomeness of that 50 millimeter Yongno, that 85 millimeter, that might be my go-to 85 for a while because I really, really like the 85 millimeter. I'm going to grab something real quick. I'll be right back because I keep talking about this and a lot of people are asking me about it online. So I'll be right. Let me grab this. Yes, $80. And I'm back. And you guys got to stare at bananas and apples. So I keep saying I'm going to give away a jolly look at 500 subscribers. We're actually getting close to that. Let's check current subscriber count. It goes up like every day, 387. We're really, really close to that 500. So yes, for the $80 lens, it is an autofocus lens. 50 millimeter young, see? Manual, auto. Yeah, so I keep saying that I'm going to give away a Jolly Look camera, and I just say the Jolly Look, and I pick it up, and you guys see it, and I point at the thing that goes to my playlist on the Jolly Look camera. What is the Jolly Look camera? The Jolly Look camera is an instant manual camera, folding camera. So this is actually it right here. So it folds out, that out, take your photo, and then after you take your photo, this one doesn't have any film in it. This is actually the one I'm giving away. You wind it, and the little Instamatic picture comes out the top. It's an instant camera, and a lot of people don't like these because people don't know how to use a camera. The only thing I can think of is that people don't know how to use a camera truly. This is an entire analog camera. There is no light meter. There is no adjustment. You have two shutter speeds, 125 and 250. That's it. And then it goes from f5.6 to f64. Like, you are so limited with this camera. So a lot of people have had failures with this camera, and it's got a pinhole too. A lot of people have had failures with this camera because it's a mix of not understanding how it works or not understanding how to, use an analog camera. And then it's got its own issues with the way that the shutter works, but I have a repair video for that. And actually, before I send this one out, I have already taken it apart and repaired it so that you don't have to worry about it when I send it to you at 500 subscribers. So I will be giving that away to one lucky person. And as we're getting closer and closer to 500, I do want to discuss this giveaway. So this giveaway is actually, I'm not allowed to be like, I can only pick from subscribers. Yeah, I absolutely agree with that 85 millimeter. It would be a great portrait, especially for headshots. Headshots and portraits, I think that the 85 millimeter would just be absolutely stunning on an FX body. And I'm actually pretty close to picking up a full frame. I just haven't figured out which full frame that I will be getting here yet. And Nick sent me a pretty funny joke. It's not appropriate for YouTube. I don't want to get dinged. It's basically autofocus or manual focus, and focused AF or mother focused, and it's on one of the photography pages. I'm sure it's photography memes are hilarious, but. So with that one, I'm not allowed to say you need to be subscribed, and I will pick from my subscribers. Actually, what I will be doing is I will be going through everyone who's interactive on my Facebook, my Instagram, my Twitter, as well as my YouTube. And then I can copy paste the names, put them on a website, and it'll just randomly pick someone. And then I will reach out to them and get their information so I can send them this. If they don't respond, then I will pick someone else, I guess. That's really what it's going to come down to. And at 1,000 subscribers, and I don't know how interesting, how many people are going to care about this, and it's still up in the air. This isn't a guarantee, but I picked up this N80, like we talked about. And yes, that is a pop can. I did a video where I turned a pop can into a camera lens, and this is the camera lens. It was a pinhole. It was kind of clickbaity. It was a really early video. It was super clickbaity, but yeah, no, that's because you can totally shoot pinhole photography with a digital camera, and not a lot of people know that. And so I totally turned a Sprite can into a lens, and it was kind of clickbaity. But if I get enough interest in this, and I'm going to run a survey on my Facebook, Instagram, and my Twitter, and we'll get a general consensus. But I'm going to do another giveaway at 1,000 subscribers, and I was thinking about giving away this. This is an N80. It is one of Nikon's finest 35 millimeter cameras. I picked this one up on Facebook Marketplace, like we said earlier in the live stream, and it's my second one. There's two of them, and I'm going to send it with a neck strap because I hate neck straps, and I'm not going to just have it lying around. But I'm going to give away one of my N80s at 1,000 subscribers if enough people are interested in that. If I need to do something else for a giveaway, I will. If I need to go pick up a D3200 or a D35 or give away one of the digital cameras I reviewed, in the 3,000 or 5,000 series, I might go that route depending on how much interest it is. But I am, a film photographer. That's actually where I got my start, was film photography. And so we're going to do a whole series as we're getting closer to 1,000 subscribers based on my subscriber currently, how my subscriber count is working currently, where I'm gaining X amount of subscribers. So I'm thinking I'll hit 1,000. We'll be getting into 35 millimeter film photography at that time. So as we get closer to that 1,000 mark in the 35 millimeter, once we get into 35 millimeter film, we will be reviewing this camera. We're going to do a head-to-head shoot with expired Porta using two of the N80s and modern Nikon lenses, because you can use modern Nikon lenses on old cameras, because Nikon used that bayonet mount since the 50s. The F mount has been used since the 50s or 60s, somewhere around there. I put it in another video. I don't remember which one. So once all that is all done and I'm done with my head-to-heads, I should be around 1,000 subscribers at that point, and we will be giving away this. If anyone's interested in this, if not, I'll pick a different camera or something else to give away. Maybe I'll give away a Yongnuo. I'll just say what platform do you use, Canon or Nikon or Olympus, and then order the Yongnuo to you from Amazon. That way it's brand new. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how many people are interested in a digital camera or a film camera giveaway. I would be interested in it. That's why I picked it, because I thought it would be cool. I really did think it'd be cool. So if you guys think that's a good idea, let me know, because I'm curious your opinion on film cameras. Oh, that went faster than I expected. I'm going to grab one more camera to clean. It's because I have not shown this camera to you guys. I keep saying, oh, it's upstairs. I want to show you guys this camera because it needs to be cleaned, and I have not shared it with you. It is my pride and joy. And that's a lie, because I did show you guys this camera, because I did a whole video called WTF's a TLR, and this is my twin lens reflex Yashica A. This one does need to be cleaned because, well, it's been sitting collecting dust, and it's a background piece for my set. If you guys haven't seen it, and I usually have the lens caps off, because it actually doesn't have lens caps, there's a piece of leather that goes over it. But when it looks like it's just a leather box, it's not as appealing to the background as it is when it's open. This camera, these are going way up in price. I picked this one up on Amazon or on eBay. I think it was like $50 or $60 is all this one was at the time when I picked it up. These things are close to $100 now, which is ridiculous. But medium format photography is really starting to come back into play. Oh, one thing I did learn about this, that doesn't work. So that is the output for my studio lighting. And I was really excited because it meant that we could go shoot this in the studio with proper flash lighting, but it doesn't work. So we can't do that, sadly. That's okay, though. I love this camera. And the reason I love it, and we talked about it in the video where we talked about twin lens reflexes, is because it sits so low and you look down to take your shots. You can do street photography incognito. Like, it's not as noticeable as when I've seen street photographers out there with like those 100 millimeter Canons, and the lens I'm talking about because it's that ugly gray color. Canon users, you know what I'm talking about, because it is an ugly lens. Beautiful photos, ugly lens. I hate that way. I hate the color of that lens, but it like sticks out like this far. Yeah, you guys know what I mean? It's like this big around. And they're all gray. They're all that ugly gray. This gray. They're this gray. Ugly gray. when you're out doing street, I've seen street photographers out there with those lenses, and they're like, and it's like, oh my god, this is not conspicuous at all. Like you stand out like a sore thumb. Whereas with a 50 millimeter, which is my recommended street lens if you're getting into photography, because 50 millimeters are dirt cheap. We talked about that in the 50 millimeter is the X-wing of lenses. I think that's what I called that video because it's like a jack of all trades, but the master of none, just like the X-wing. I don't like Star Wars as much as I should, but no, I don't. That's not true because I like the original trilogy and I liked Rogue One. Anyways, when you have those big old lenses and they stick out, like it's hard to stay conspicuous. But 50 millimeters is a good option. But these are the best options because, like I said, you're down low, you look down, and most people like they know what this is. They know it's a camera, but without the big zoom lens, they don't really feel like you're invading their privacy. That's another thing we don't really talk about a lot with the street photography videos, and that's a lot of people don't like street photographers like at all. Like I like them. I think that they take really amazing photos, and I really like that slice of lifestyle. What do you guys think about street photographers? I'm going to continue talking as you reply. But a lot of people don't like it. They feel like their privacy is being invaded. And that's why I always tell newer photographers that I talk to that want to get into street photography, use a smaller lens. It's if it doesn't look like a zoom lens, it doesn't look like you're invading someone's privacy and they won't get mad at you. Now, in the United States, you have no right to privacy in a public setting. Someone can take your photo. There's nothing you can do about it. They might not be able to sell the image if you're recognizable, but there's nothing you can do about someone taking your photo in public. People don't care if there's nothing that they can do and they get mad. So, the best piece of advice that I can give you if you're first getting into street photography is use a smaller lens because you don't stand out as much. It's way easier to not stand out when you're using the smaller lens. And let's give you an example. So like my this isn't even this lens isn't even zooming. The 50 millimeter has more zoom than this lens, but this lens looks bigger, so it means that I can zoom closer, right? Whereas this one is zoomed in further than this one, but this one isn't as conspicuous. I mean, it's so tiny. Like, oh, he's just a tourist out and about taking photos of the town. Like, there's no big deal. Oh, dude, those Fuji ones are amazing. They're so expensive. And I agree, that would be super inconspicuous because then you could still put it on autofocus and just like it's no big deal. Um, Z, if you guys watched the interview I did with Z, where we talked about Nicolas Cage, she was talking about being on a bus in the United Kingdom for school, and she was taking photos on the bus, and like the winding noise and the click was like the loudest sound in the world for them at the time. Like it was so loud because when you're shooting street photography, especially if you're new to it or you haven't done it much, it can be really uncomfortable, especially in the climate we're in now. A few years ago, not sponsored, a few years ago, I went to a march in Greeley, the town I used to live in, and it was for the refugees and immigration. Right, it was right after Trump got elected, I believe. So 4 years ago, hi TT, my aunt is clicking off. But anyway, so 4 or 5 years ago, we went to my fiance and I went to this march, and at the time, I brought my cameras. I brought a GoPro and I brought the 5100. It had been the 5100. So we were marching and taking photos, and it was good. I was documenting. I was getting all these great photos, these really powerful images. Dean, that's a good. What do you mean by CV? I might just like be reading it wrong. You ever had to present a CV as a photographer, and what did it look like? Explain your question a little bit more, and I promise I will answer it. These days, people don't like a stranger taking their pics, especially if they see you raising the camera to your eye. Some people are using the 18 to 400 to be further away. Okay, that is a fair assessment, Dwayne. I feel like in big cities, though, that 400 even then, like the people near you might not like that. But 4 years ago, the political climate wasn't quite. Oh, my resume. Have I ever had to present my resume as a photographer? Oh, no. Do you mean like when I'm out taking street photos or something like that, like someone asks me for my credentials? Or do you mean like for a job where I had to present like a portfolio or something along those lines? So, but 4 years ago, the political climate, I mean, it was bad, but it wasn't where it is now. And I'm waiting for Dean to respond. And I'm going to continue with this tangent while he responds. I might just be dumb, Dean. I'm really sorry. I might literally just be an idiot and not knowing what you're talking about. It's totally on me. I'm pretty sure it's probably on me. But so I was able to go out and take those photos, and I've actually met a few street photographers now, or a few people who had gone to protests, and not only were they attacked by the cops, like in Denver during the BLM protests and riots, the police were shooting at journalists with the pepper balls. That sounds painful. But they were also being attacked by the protesters. They didn't want their faces public, because of incidences of doxing, incidences of doxing, or people like finding out who they were or losing their jobs, things like that. So, with the political climate where it is, your rights are there as a photographer, but the worry is how are the people around you going to respond to those rights? Because legally you might be okay, but that's not going to stop someone from beating you up or anything like that. I'm actually going to Google this, Dean, because I want to be able to answer your question, and I might have just called it something different, or I might just be an idiot. Oh, I mean, okay. I have actually not done that because I haven't worked for a company as a photographer. They might mean like part with a portfolio. So when I approach when I approach a real estate company, um, two of the real estate companies I work with, I know realtors in there personally, and that's how I got on. But some of the real estate agencies I've worked for in the past, I actually approached them with a portfolio. So it was my resume, explaining my equipment. It explained my experience photographing, and then I actually had a physical, not a digital, a physical portfolio with prints of photography I had done on other houses, as well as a digital portfolio. And I brought that with me for my interview, and they were more interested in the digital one because they have to post the photos online now. That's how real estate works. So they were going through to make sure that my color matching was correct. I also mentioned, because I'm doing freelance, I also mentioned, what software I have, what kind of computer I have, and all of those things that go into post. If you're going to a job that doesn't require you to edit, I wouldn't really worry. I would mention that you have editorial editing experience, and definitely mention that in your resume, but definitely include some photos, especially if you can upload some of your portfolio in the style they want. Yep. Nick Dudelko is right about that. I don't use a website because I'm poor. I used to have a website, but the money I spent for the website now goes into the studio and equipment budget. It wasn't a lot. It was like $10 a month is all I was paying. But that's now $10 a month that goes into the studio. So that helps me pay for my studio. But definitely, having a really good online presence and portfolio with all the different styles you're willing to do. Nick is completely right on that. And make sure you explain, the experience that you have, the equipment that you use, but also the equipment you're familiar with. Because like I use Nikon, but there have been some postings for jobs that I've seen that require to use their equipment, and their equipment was Canon. So I have to be able to say, yeah, I've used Canons in the past. I haven't used a lot of Canons in the past, so I didn't apply for those jobs. But a lot of times some places will have the equipment they want you to use, like newspapers. What kind of job is it for? I'm really excited. It's a photography job. Yeah. What kind of photography job are you talking about, Dean? Like, is it real estate? Is it for a newspaper? That'd be really cool. Journalistic photography or product photography is really cool too. I would, if you're doing product photography, I would just make sure you talk about, lighting is super weird for photography. Oh, of course. I'm glad I was able to help. And Nick, thank you for helping him too. It's always good to get different minds. That's why I network so much. That's why I talk to so many commercial. Okay, cool. So like product photography. Oh, that is so exciting. Product photography is something we haven't gotten into on my channel yet. I'm planning on it. I have three artists that are creating that have products. One of them makes like pins, one of them makes dresses, and the other one does like graphic design. So we're gonna do like three different videos with them talking about product photography, lighting for product photography, light boxes, all that stuff. Oh yeah, no, see, that's perfect. That'll be a really fun job and really creative. My experience with speaking with product photographers is they're given a lot of freedom and a lot of creative freedoms, like not complete creative control, but they're given a lot of creative freedoms when doing that, more so than real estate. Real estate's super boring. Real estate pays really well, but it's super boring, and it's almost as boring as wedding photography. Well, I do wedding photography. I don't. It's not the most fun thing in the world. It's really stressful because you only have one shot to get the photos, and you really have to pray that you get the photos. Like a bad SD card, a lens problem, anything that goes wrong, and you can't really recreate all of those photos. But I'm really excited for you, Dean. I hope you get that job, dude. Like, let me know if you get it. Yes, yes, yes. Do some practice product photography. Make sure you backlight. That way, you add some depth to the photos. If you're only lighting from the top or something, it looks flat. So make sure you backlight to get some depth in there. And good luck, dude. I really, really hope you get it. Let me know if you do. I'm super excited for you. Fingers crossed, man. I'm really, really hoping that you get that job because I love seeing photographers start to break out into the market and start to break out commercially because it's really exciting because a lot of people are like, oh, you take photos and you do what you love. You don't need to be paid. And that's not cool at all. I hate that. I hate when like someone approaches me and they're like, oh, well, like you gotta do what you like to do, so I don't have to pay you, or you're doing something artistic. So really, I hope the best, Dean. I really do. But yeah, make sure when you if you do some practice product photography, check out some YouTube videos. I'd like to suggest some of mine, but I don't have any on that yet. But backlighting is super important in product photography. You don't want the image to look flat. You really don't want the image to look flat. You want it to have some depth. And what other advice? Don't use too wide open of an angle. You don't really want like clothing is difficult. Fashion is difficult because you want some bokeh, but you still want it to be as sharp as possible because the background doesn't actually matter in fashion. The model doesn't even actually matter all that much in fashion photography, but they still want it to be clear and they still want it to be done correctly. So like f4, f5.6 is really where I shoot fashion at. When I'm doing product photography, I'm on a tripod and I'm shooting like f8, f11, super super sharp, and there's some depth there, but you want it to stand out against the background a little. I mostly shoot products on white or black. Yes, definitely tell me. I'm really excited. I'm really excited. I really hope that you are able to get that job because that would be just fantastic. Maybe I can get you on an episode talking about um, product photography, especially got the job and success stories. Success stories. So I'm done cleaning cameras. Is there anything else you guys want to talk about? Like I'm hopped up on coffee and energy drinks. Again, class is over. I'm trying to ignore the election as much as possible. I already voted, so I'm tired of seeing ads for the election. What. Oh, that's a good point, Dwayne. I'm really glad you brought that up. There are some unwritten rules in street photography, and one of them is to not exploit people who can't help it, such as the homeless. And Dwayne brought up that he talked to him, he gave him a five, and he let him take his photo. Consent is key in a lot of places, and that's why a lot of people don't like their photos taken in public. But when it comes to the homeless or transients or people who are down on their luck, there are some ethical, like unwritten rules, and one of them really is with homeless. You ask permission. You don't want to exploit them. They don't have a choice but to be somewhere public. And yeah, talking to them and giving us some money. I'll give them the money before I ask. That way, they don't feel like getting the money is stipulate. Taking the shot is you know whether or not I'm going to give the money to them is based on whether or not they say yes or no. I'll usually give them the money first, then I'll talk to them a little bit, and then I'll ask them if it's okay for me to take their photo. For the ones around here, it's 50-50. About 50% of them ask you not to, 50% of them will give you permission, and that's totally cool. If they say no or if they say yes, I'll still talk to them for a little while longer. Even if I take the shot, I don't just walk away. I don't want them to feel that, and I don't want to come off as if I'm just using them for a dramatic photo. And I'll usually talk to them and hear their story, and we'll kind of talk back and forth before and after I take the photo. But that's a really good point, Dwayne. I don't really talk about that a lot in the street photography videos I have done, just because Loveland doesn't have a huge transient issue. I mean, they do, but like they're not really in the downtown area. They're more in the parks. And so when I'm doing street photography, I usually don't encounter them. I also don't really take photos of people when I do street photography. I like taking photos of like ghost signs and cool cars and like graffiti. I really like graffiti. Graffiti around here isn't that great, but some of it is pretty awesome. One second. I was responding to my instructor for my cultural anthropology class. We have a big project coming up that I'm going to do a video for. Actually, I've done all of my projects for her in video format because I don't have to worry about grammar errors in a video, and she just like lets me do it because it's anthropology, and anthropologists are all about art and stuff. So it's actually pretty funny that she just lets me get away with making videos for every single one of my projects. I wanted to discuss. I wanted to discuss. Oh yes, so for film photography, I did mention we're going to do 35 millimeter. I wanted to know, like, are you guys interested in 120 format? Are you interested in 4x5? Are you interested in me getting some X-ray film? Um, are you interested in more tin type videos? Tin type videos seem to be still chugging along pretty well, but it's a lot of work, and I want to make sure that people are interested in it. Because like the digital camera reviews, like every video I do, it's a lot of work, but it's not, because I'm now in school, I'm not making as much. It's not as much of a financial investment. But if I do get back into tin types are a little bit more of a financial investment. So I want to make sure that you guys, as my subscribers, are interested in that before I really jump into it, because I don't want to put a bunch of money into this video and then like no one, like everyone's bored by it. Like I want to make sure it's an exciting video. So I guess the question really is if I did a tin type video, would you be more interested in a studio session, a landscape session, or a street photography session with tin types? Because I say that it's a huge investment. I still have plates left. They're in my freezer. And I have expired Porta 400 for 35 millimeter. I would like to do a shoot with that. And then I also was thinking about getting a Holga Russian 120 toy camera to do a shoot with that. Those are notorious for leaking light and terrible lens quality and taking just amazing artistic shots. So we might actually do color 120 for that. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know. You guys have any other questions before I start cleaning up and heading out for the day? Start working on some homework. If you do have any questions, just type them up real quick. We'll get them answered. If you guys want to discuss anything else, let me know, because I really enjoy talking cameras, and this little live chat thing is awesome because you guys are like 10 seconds behind me, 15 seconds behind me, but I do enjoy being able to answer your questions as you type them and as you go. 1 second. Oops. Okay, the directions for my assignment due tomorrow are cleared up to me now. Just a quick little email exchange. All right. Well, no, that's awesome, Dean. I'm really hoping that all those video ideas and all those videos are super exciting for everyone. And if you haven't checked out my other videos, you guys make sure you go check them out. I've got a whole series on tin types. I have a full series on the Jolly Look. They are older videos, so the quality isn't quite what it is now, but the information there is still good. Oh, I do have a couple of important videos coming up. The first one, I'm working with someone who runs a workshop here in Colorado. In the first video in the series is going to be a model safety video. I know it doesn't really pertain to photographers, so to say, but I've been noticing a huge influx of creeps with cameras in this area or people acting inappropriately. So we're going to do a sit down with her, and she's going to talk about what models can do to stay safe on shoots or how to vet photographers. And then she also runs a class on for photographers on, how not to come off as creepy or how to run a shoot, how to pose models and things like that, and how to do it appropriately and professionally. So we're going to sit down with her and we're going to do a video on that as well. We might have a couple of videos in there where she'll run down some tricks and tips for everyone, for both models and photographers. I know the model one probably won't do very good, but it's less about the analytics on that one and more about, I think the video needs to be made because there's a lot of inexperienced models getting into the industry right now, and I've seen a lot of them being taken advantage of lately. So I'm going to try to get this video out there as quickly as I can. It'll probably be a bonus video through one of the weeks instead of the week's video. So if you do see that one pop up, give it a like and share, especially if you are on any of the model safety pages or any of the modeling pages, because I do want to make sure that good photographers who aren't a creep with a camera aren't, ostracized and sent aren't ostracized and treated negatively because of the stigma associated with bad photographers. And that's like a really big one for me because it kind of hurts everyone. One person running around doing that hurts everyone. So that's my little public service announcement for the day. So I'm actually going to get going, you guys. I got some homework to finish up now that it's been clarified for me. Thanks for hanging out during my camera Thanks for hanging out during my camera clean. One more thing. How do you guys feel about me live streaming photo edits? So I'd sit down, I'd be editing photos, we would talk photography as I edit photos. As you know, it'd be just a lot like what we just did now, but I'd also be doing a screen capture so you guys can actually see my editing process as I answer questions. Oh, you do have I figured you'd have a Holga. Do you like the Holga? I was gonna say bye, but you guys are further behind on the live stream than I thought you were. Puts on my. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's really cool. Send me some of those pictures, Dwayne. I know we've talked on Facebook. Send me photos that you've gotten with that because I'm really curious on how they look. Does it leak light? Like a lot of light? So again, please like this video, guys. Make sure you subscribe. 500 subscribers. This is getting given away, and I don't really want to part with it, but I have another one because I love these cameras. And this is not sponsored. This camera was originally sent to me by Jolly Look for my review. We already did the sponsored videos for that. This one I'm giving away because I want to share it with other people because someone who would appreciate an older analog camera, I think would really appreciate having this, especially because it's instant and it's a great tool for teaching manual mode and reading light. You do need a light meter, or actually, I meter with my camera. So I'll take the picture of the camera with the same settings I have on this, and if it comes out, I know it's good to go. If it doesn't, then I need to re-meter. I also have a regular light meter that I use sometimes. So I am going to sit here awkwardly for a couple seconds while you guys get caught up, because I want to make sure if there's any questions that are asked before I leave, I can answer them, because I don't want you guys asking questions and me not seeing the questions and not being able to answer them. So I'm going to give myself 5 seconds now because I've got a little live over here that I'm watching to make sure I know where you guys are compared to where I'm at. I just didn't want to go on a tangent, and ask a bunch more questions and then just keep myself in this loop. But you guys have joined me for like an hour and almost 15 minutes, which is amazing. It's way longer than I expected the live stream. And I've had consistently 5 to 7 people watching, which is really cool for me. I know some streamers have 1 million viewers, but that's not me. 5 I wouldn't be able to pay attention to the live chat if there was that many people asking me questions all at once. Respond real quick. It wasn't a surprise to me though that I could talk for an hour and 15 minutes. Like when it comes to photography, I could talk for hours, hours and hours and hours and hours and hours because okay, Nick, I am now seeing your comment about keeping your website. Websites are hard to run, man. Like so much work. I mean, I have a hard enough time uploading new shoots to Twitter and Instagram. Like my last Instagram photo was posted like 2 months ago, and Facebook. I'm not really good at it. I should get better about it, but I'm just not as good as I would like to be. I stack on Instagram posting because I hate figuring out what. Dude, just Google the tags. Like like you can Google like if you're doing like a high fashion shoot, high fashion tags, and then you can copy it and paste it. Because you need 30. If you want to trend on Instagram, you have to have 30 tags. For reals. Like I'm not even kidding. I wish I was, but you have to have 30 tags to like really do well on Instagram. And you have to post like 2 or 3 times a day. I did it for about a year where I was consistently posting and I was consistently uploading and I was doing stories and all that. And I just burned out. I found YouTube to be way more fun. I think if I start getting more time, like pipe dreams here, if I did well enough on YouTube where I didn't need a part time job, I would literally just be, I would be on Instagram all the time and Twitter and Facebook and all that stuff. Twitter is where it's at actually. Because there's no like weird algorithm thingy. Like you just put in your tags and it shows it in order of posts. So Twitter is actually really awesome for that. I enjoy Twitter because of that. I post on there probably not as often as I should, but I do post on there more often than Instagram or Facebook. I mostly just post my videos. But I will answer questions. Like if you contact me on any of those platforms, I will see it and I will answer your question right away. Or pretty close to right away whether I'm working or not. Actually, a lot of times I'll answer. If I'm not driving, I'll pretty much answer your question right away, even if I'm in class, because I know what's going on in class. Classes are easy. I'm actually a history major, and I know like the classes I'm taking now are contemporary intro history classes, and it's a bunch of stuff I already know, so I don't mind texting while I'm in class. If you have any questions or if you want to share photos with me, send me photos. I like looking at other people's photos. And if I get enough people sending me photos, I'm going to do a react to my fans' photos video. That's a thing I'm planning on doing. I just haven't gotten enough photos. I've maybe gotten 10. I want to do 20. I want to react to 20 of my fans' photos. So send me photos, you guys, because I will look at them. I will react. I will tell you what I love about your photo. Because when you send me a photo, you're not asking for critique. I'm not going to critique your work. Unless you ask me to, which we did a video on, the proper way to ask for critique. But if you send me photos, I'm going to compliment. I'm going to tell you what I love about it because I don't see photos very often that I don't like something about. Like even like I had someone send me a picture of a rock, but the lighting was amazing on this. Like during golden hour, and it had the long blue shadow, and it had like gold, like mica flakes in it, or schist flakes. It was awesome. It was a rock, but I liked it. I thought it was a cool photo. So send me your photos. I will react. I will talk about them. I will do a video where I react. Maybe we'll even do a live stream where I react, and I'll just like bring them up on Facebook or whatever, and we'll look at them there, and I will live react. That actually sounds like a fun idea. This sounds like something I really want to do now. Send me photos, you guys. I know there's only 5 of you right now, but if I announce it in a regular video, my regular videos get like 40 to 50 views. The videos where I'm reviewing like these older cameras get like thousands of views. So when I do a video on these older cameras, I will announce it there to send me photos. So Doesn't look like there's a lot of questions left. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to contact me on Facebook, on Instagram, or Twitter. Pink Hat Photography. Pink Hat is one word, and then photography, as you can see on my shirt. Pink Hat Photography. I hope that's not backwards. Everything seems to be backwards in the webcam. But feel free to contact me. nalunablog@gmail.com is my email if you want to email me something or share something on Google Drive with me. I will check it out. I will answer questions as quickly as I can. If I don't know the answer, I will find the answer for you, or I will point you in the direction where you can find an answer. Thank you guys again so much for joining me for an hour and 20 minutes now. You guys have a good one. 500 subscribers. Jolly Look camera is being given away. So make sure you guys share some of my videos with your friends and other photographers. And I will catch you all on the flip side. Bye. Oh, wait, I can't cut that out in post. Bye.